You can't predict much except trouble. It's a constant.
The king is back. I think it's time I show my face up in this month.
I don't feel safe in this apartment, Kanan.
Unique is alive as hell. He doing anything he can to hurt us.
Here you are, behind your mother's back.
Soldiers are made. Killers are born.
So we're off and running for Raising Kanan Season 4. Although Episode 1 did feel more like an extra episode for Season 3, it gave us a very in-depth flashback into how Unique survived, his physical and mental state. They answered the question in terms of why he's going after Rock and the Thomases, and judging by the season preview, Season 4 is just about to begin. So Episode 2 will be the genuine start for Season 4, because Episode 1 events was an entire flashback which covered the events from Season 3 Episode 5 all the way up to this event in Season 3 Episode 10. But judging by the season trailer that was released shortly after Episode 1, we're definitely in for a wild ride. This season is going to be crazy, from Kanan's relationship with Rock. We've also got him making moves behind her back to Stefano. Both Kanan and Duke are also in the streets together. Marvin's doing what Marvin does best. We've also got Jukebox in basic training. And with Unique, well, he says it best.
The king is back. I think it's time I show my face up in this motherfucker.
The king is back, and it is time to show his face, which I do think will happen towards the mid-season mark. They're not hiding the fact that Rock is going to find out in the season trailer either, which also tells me they've got a lot more surprises and big moments up their sleeve. Just also as another observation, there was also no Sean Famous Figueroa. Again, let's see if they answer that question around Famous in episode 2. But we are going to be doing our usual in terms of breaking down the season trailer, looking at all the clues, matching everything up to previous teasers, just to give us some more depth to some of these scenes we see here, for all things Raising Kanan Season 4. Now first things first, we've got the heartbeat of this show, which is the relationship between Kanan and Rock. Raising Kanan really has been built on the foundation of the Thomases, specifically Kanan and Rock, with everything orbiting around this relationship. It's a relationship which definitely is in a good place at this moment in time, and it's going to be even worse because of what Rock did to Howard. We still need to hear that conversation, because just like I mentioned in my 401 breakdown, Howard was actually open to the idea of building this relationship with Kanan. Now in this season trailer we also hear Kanan asking Rock, does she know the difference between right and wrong? With Rock's response being, he's alive because of her. However, we have also seen an extended version of this scene before.
You making more with me than you ever did because I'm getting you more work at a better price. Our business is good, and it's one thing not to be able to trust my son. I mean, I can almost live with that. But I have to be able to trust my business partners.
Now from what we've seen before, it does seem like this conversation takes place after Rock and Kanan have a confrontation with Snaps and Pop, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But there's a lot of tension between the two, not just because of Howard, but because of everything that they've been through from all the way back to season 1. But one thing is pretty clear, it does seem like Kanan is working for Rock. So whatever issues they have, it seems like they have at least managed to get past it to a certain degree. Rock mentions he may not like her decisions, but he loves the results, and I couldn't agree more. The reason why Kanan is still breathing is because of Rock. The stupid decision that he made to go after Buck 20 with D-Wiz in season 1, that situation could have played out very different. What Rock has done since as a mother is of course crazy, but Kanan's also made a lot of mistakes as well. Now one thing's for sure, Kanan sure is Rock's son. We've got him here with Snaps and Pop, with Snaps telling Kanan, this is a variable business where you can't predict much apart from trouble. This game will always bring trouble to your doorstep. I think this is also where he'll ask Kanan, who does he want to be?
You gotta understand, Kanan, that how people see you now is how they're gonna see you forever.
I want them to see me as me, not who my mother is.
Now Kanan is someone who's ambitious just like Rock. He'll want to continue to grow his empire, business, and what better way to do so than learn from people like Rock, Snaps and Pop, with the latter two basically being retired. They're the blueprint. They're the guys who have respect in the streets. In Snap's words from season 3, they made the game. So Snap's mentoring Kanan at this moment in time while he's still working for Rock, but also where there's a bit of tension. It's the perfect time. It's a perfect transition for Kanan for where he is at this moment in time in his story arc, to go and get this mentorship and guidance from a few old heads who definitely know this game.
Here you are, behind your mother's back.
Now I mentioned this before, I also wouldn't be surprised if it was Snaps and Pop who were the ones behind Kanan making a move behind Rock's back to Stefano. We saw something very similar in the official trailer with Kanan approaching Stefano, and we hear him mentioning he's here behind Rock's back. But for Kanan to make this move, someone has to have been in his ear, just like Kanan said to Tariq in Power Book 2 Ghost, and just like Ellie Tyler mentioned to Unique in 401, who's pulling the strings? Who's helping him? Because you have to ask the question, how does Kanan even know Stefano is the go-to, the person above Rock? So I do think Snaps and Pop will sense an opportunity with how ambitious Kanan is, what he's shown he can do in the streets already through his weed business and more. So I do think it will be Snaps and Pop pulling the strings from behind. Now we've also got Kanan and Jukebox in the streets. In the official trailer we did see them kind of looking at someone in the basketball court, looking over at someone with Kanan grabbing his piece. But in the season trailer we've also got Jukebox, and it is time for both of them to start really stamping their authority in the streets. The OG Kanan from Power mentioned Jukebox used to run these streets harder than some of these men. So Jukebox definitely had that fear factor. Growing up, people would fear Jukebox, not just Kanan, but also Juke. And that's what I think we're going to start to see more of in Season 4. Do I also think we're going to see Jukebox's first kill? I definitely do think there is a high chance in Season 4. I think the first teaser that was released back in October 2024 does show her pulling the trigger. It also doesn't need to be a big character, but I do think she will. Now just sticking with Juke, we've also got her in the army, most likely in basic training. Although we don't actually know when this takes place, whether there could be a potential another time jump, I would assume there will be because of the teaser where Marvin says Juke is back. So I do assume she's been gone for some time, where she's gone to the army for a few weeks, a few months, maybe a bit longer. I'm sure they're going to tell us exactly how long it's been or how long she's been in basic training for. But this transition from the streets of Queens to the army is going to be huge for Juke. We know what she's been through already, which started with Nicole's death all the way back in Season 1, and this is just going to make her even tougher than she already is. I just think the next step is her stamping her authority in the streets, and showing why Kanan said what he said in Power, why she ran these streets harder than some of these men. But moving on to Marvin and Tremon. Now in the official trailer we did see a scene where Marvin was hitting someone around the head, knocking them out unconscious. We later realised it was actually Tremon from Season 2. They were actually supposed to get into business with Rock. However, he went and betrayed Rock and went directly to the source, which were the Colombians. And also because Juliana was being quite petty with Rock. But we never really saw them circle back around to this disrespect or betrayal. In the official trailer and season trailer, we've got Marvin giving Tremon one hell of a beating that he's deserved all the way back from Season 2. Now my question is, why now? Why are they circling back to Tremon in Season 4? Now I've got a bit of a theory and prediction. We all know Unique is going to be messing with Rock's organization. He's going to be setting ablaze to one of her Chinese restaurants. He's going to be hitting one of her warehouses or stashes where she keeps her product. I also see him targeting Rock's lawyer Andre. So all of these events are going to be taking place in and around Rock's organization. And the first name that pops out of her mind isn't going to be someone who she believes is dead. Just like Ellie Tyler mentioned in 401, Unique is invisible. So just like Ghost and Tommy were trying to figure out who was hitting their operation back in Season 1 of OG Power, I wouldn't be surprised to see Rock doing the same where she begins to point fingers. And so maybe one of Rock's fingers gets pointed in the direction of Tremon, and that's why she's here. So that's just a thought around the situation with Tremon. Maybe he gets blamed for Unique causing absolute mayhem. Now just sticking with Unique, we've also got him scoping a situation like he was towards the end of 401, just like when he was watching Ronnie and Juliana. We've also got him going to Kanan's apartment where he bumps into Crystal. And this whole situation definitely has her spooked to the point where she doesn't even want to stay at Kanan's apartment. And I don't blame her. Unique is definitely looking scary, dressed in all black, hood up, a big scar on his forehead, bursting into Kanan's apartment, knocking one of his guys to the floor. However, I have said it before, I don't think this is where Unique will meet Kanan. I think Kanan will probably be somewhere else, and their confrontational meeting will come a bit later on. I definitely think it will happen in Season 4, but I do think this will probably end up being a nothing scene.
The king is back. I think it's time I show my face up in this motherfucker.
Now, as I said before in my episode 1 breakdown, if you're going to take a shot at the king, don't miss. So the king is back, and he's ready to show his face again at some point in Season 4. I do think it will probably be in the first half. It seems like he's also gone jewelry shopping, or he's got one of his guys to hook him up with some chains, rings. We know how Unique rolls. He may not be the exact same Unique that we once knew before, but it does look like he will be getting back to some normality. So eventually he is going to show his face. He is going to come out of hiding and stop making these moves as a ghost. Now, the one person I think that will help him in doing so is Phil Russo. We've seen a few teasers where he's in conversation with a new crime boss in New Jersey, and I really wouldn't be surprised if this is who he sparks a business relationship with. I wouldn't be surprised if Phil Russo is someone who helps Unique get back up on his feet in terms of getting his street operation back up and running, because he will want to get back to business. So let's see how this situation unfolds when Unique does decide he's done playing invisible, he's done playing a ghost on the streets, where he comes back as Unique and finally reveals himself to Rock and the Thomases.
Unique is alive as hell. He doing anything he can to hurt us.
Now, based on history from Power, normally when there's a reveal around a character or a secret, it normally happens around the mid-season mark. You're talking around the episode 5 mark, which was when Lauren was revealed to be alive to Tariq in Book 2 Ghost. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's around the episode 4 or 5 mark where Rock finds out Unique is alive. No doubt, she's probably in conversation with Marvin, and she's probably just realizing it's Unique hurting her operation. But what's the next move once she finds out Unique is alive? That's the big question. How does she hit back, protect her organization and business? How does she approach and maybe reason with someone who probably won't be willing to listen? Eventually they are going to have to come face to face, and I do think they will based on something we've seen before in a previous teaser. So let's see what Rock's move is when she does find out. It really is going to be interesting because there are a lot of other factors to consider. Unique actually said she loved Rock when he was pretty much out of it. Rock also said she could have loved him back when in conversation with Duke. And then there's this whole situation with the termination of the pregnancy. Would Rock have gone ahead with it if she knew Unique was alive? And will she ever tell him? Or is that a secret that they're going to take to the grave? So there are a few little scenarios that does make this even more interesting. Now elsewhere in the trailer, we've also got Marvin doing classic Marvin things. Whether this is another job for Stefano, maybe. If it is, and if it does go wrong, it's going to cause huge problems. Before season 4, I raised 2 points around Marvin doing side missions for Stefano. 1. Did Rock know? And could there be a fuck up or a big misunderstanding? Well, after watching episode 1, we definitely know Rock doesn't know, so it's just a question of will there be a big potential fuck up, like the situation with Tony Deep. We've also got Lou walking with B Rilla, and just as a reminder, his character description reads, a raw, volatile, and incredibly talented young rapper, serving a prison sentence for armed robbery. Lou sees B Rilla's potential and wants to sign him. So at some point Lou will be back in Queens. He will be back doing the one thing he loves in terms of music, and he will be working with B Rilla. But just how long before Lou gets called up by Rock, or where he gets dragged into the street mess once again, either through B Rilla or through the Thomases, maybe even at no fault of his own? How long before Lou gets dragged in? Because I do think he will. Now this season trailer also finishes off with the older Kanan's narration saying, soldiers are made, but killers are born. Now in the context of Kanan, his character arc and his origin story, it's a 2-part process. The life experience he's had so far, his family, what he's been through, that will mold him into a soldier. But killers are born. I think that line teases a very dark future for Kanan, which we already know. For example, the way he was just able to get rid of his Sean and show no remorse back in OG Power. It's a warning. The boy that we're now seeing on Raising Kanan is on a dark path. Someone who's going to be even more dangerous than a soldier. You can also say the same for a few other characters, and I'm sure we're going to get into it as the season goes on. But that's the trailer in a nutshell. Season 4 episode 2 is where we're really going to get going, and based on some of these teasers and scenes from the season trailer, we're definitely in for a great season. But drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.